so when you're thinking about how to influence dogs in the outdoors or on your premises or whatever, it's important to remember that people get their cues of how you want them to behave from lots of different situations and information. You won't be able to see all the detail of this, but the key thing is actually just seeing that there's lots of differences, because some of the other research that's gone on, and this was jointly funded by a local authority, Natural England and the Kennel Club, so it's not just what the doggy people say, it's, you know, it's fine external research that Sheffield University did. So it was asking about what are the things that influence you in terms of like your behavior, whether it's using a lead or picking up or whatever it is, but equally you can apply these to, you know, where do you take your dog in the hotel or whatever, or what do you do when you're having a meal in the hotel, this sort of thing. So signage was quite important, but none of these things are completely. So signage giving clear explanations for whatever it is good. What other dog walkers do is good. People change their views if they, or what they do sometimes if they're seen by rangers or site staff or whatever it may be. Fines, well, yeah, they can work sometimes, but again, the chance of being caught is often pretty low. Prohibitive signage, well, that's good at telling you what not to do, but not what you want to do. What other people are doing and being watched. So there's a whole range of things. So what I want to make the point is that it isn't just a sign or one person. Often it's quite complex, but actually you can break things down to actually find out what you change. But the point is that there is no magic sign. Sometimes if I speak to rangers or council staff or somewhere, they think that we just put up a sign and the world is lovely. You know, we could do that somewhere in Africa or in the Middle East and just say no fighting. Wouldn't that be great? And it wouldn't kind of work. And that's not to underplay the seriousness of those situations, but just putting up a sign, and signage is really actually difficult to do, but just making the point that it might be you're having a leaflet, but something might be just a smile and a little comment that one member of your staff says when they come in, or just a water bowl outside can actually do all sorts of stuff. So just keen to make that point. And so there's all sorts of stuff, and we can go into all the psychology of it, but we don't really have time to do that today. But it's just saying that actually there's all sorts of stuff out there, but actually some people say, oh, we'll just educate people about sheep and then there won't be any problems. Well, not really. Nobody's actually saying it's okay for dogs to chase sheep. The question you need to answer is help them make good decisions about where to walk their dogs. Actually working with dog owners, and again, but whether it's them saying, oh, this is a great place to go to for walking or for having a coffee or for staying overnight, that can be really important because we like to listen to people like us. We know from all the research that actually people listen most to, if they're dog owners, in terms of stuff for their dog, they're most influenced by what their vets say and other dog owners, be it the council or the dog warden or the kennel club or whatever. All those sort of organisations may be okay, but actually other people like me or somebody who loves my dog, I'm going to listen to them more. And that's the same, you know, if we were thinking about children, you know, we'd listen to people who are parents more than whatever. And just one other thing I wanted to just skip through, but actually some people will say, why don't we just use the law to stop sheep chasing or people not picking up? Well, for a start, you know, a dog chasing sheep can be lawfully shot, so that you'd think would be a pretty good disincentive to people. But also the fact that actually using the law doesn't support all this good stuff. So for some people, our devils, the only way you will change their behaviour is through enforcement, and that's where it should be targeted, be it picking up, be it somebody who has a dog that's straying or whatever it may be. But actually, for our fallen angels, where we want them to actually do good stuff, helping them do the good stuff, rather than just saying not to do the bad stuff, can be much more effective. Just so that you know, in Wales, there are these new things called public spaces protection orders, which can be used to designate on-lead areas or no dogs or all these sort of things. So councils can do those in theory. But the thing that often councils forget is there's what's called community protection notices. And these are very simple ways to target the problem people. So one of the difficulties we often get is that they'll find one or two people not picking up, for example. And actually, one or two people going to a park every day, even if everybody else does, looks like a big problem, you know, when they're not picking up or they're putting it in trees. You can use that, or if people have got dogs that are out of control. Far better to target the problem people than actually what we see sometimes, which is say, oh, we'll make this area no dogs or on leads all the time. Because actually what happens is that actually the devils who are doing the bad stuff anyway will just ignore it, and actually you really disenfranchise all the people who are then going to want to walk their dog somewhere else. So yes, for some things like picking up everywhere, that's absolutely fine, or for example, certain areas giving people a choice where there's not dogs is fine. But actually it can be far better, but often councils aren't aware of it. But there's a lot in here about community protection notices, which can actually be used before an incident's happened. So if you've got a dog which it's like, that seems likely that it's going to knock somebody over in the park, or that actually it hasn't bitten anybody yet, but it seems like it might do, you can introduce that before the bad stuff happens. Where a lot of the other legislation, like for sheep worrying and stuff, you can only use it once the sheep has been killed or chased. This legislation, if you found this dog running around but it's actually not killed anything yet, you can use a community protection order, which means that the person can be fined or appear before court, or in theory go to prison, even if a problem hasn't occurred but is likely to occur. But councils aren't always picking up on that. And again, one of the difficulties about doing enforcement is there's lots of questions about, will it solve the problem? Can it be enforced? And it's all about having these rules, but actually, are you going to enforce it? And are you going to target the devils? So the law basically just needs to be focused on those problem people who are not going to change their behaviours any other way. But as it says here, there's actually lots of, for people on green space or even on your premises, actually if you can work with them to promote the good and minimise the bad, you're getting the dog owners to actually report fly tipping, or to actually be out there being healthy, or actually being good advocates for behaviour, or reporting fires or dangerous litter or that sort of thing, are bigger opportunities too. So again, I can do a whole morning on law, but basically it's not going to solve everything. We actually have laws now, but actually how do we have the resources to target the problem people, but then get the good stuff we want out of everybody else?